Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to France. We're at the legendary Circuit de la Sarthe and we're racing at the Mans Bugatti circuit, and it's a very fitting venue, I think, because it's the last race of season 10. It's the championship deciding race for who gets away with the Apex Online GT3 Tier 2 title. And yeah, I'm kind of hyped actually, because do you have the standings up?
I'll pull them up right now.
And I was supposed to introduce my fellow colleague in the commentary box, who I just wanted to give you a shout out because it's the end of the season, because you really salvaged this commentary job, I think, because yeah, I had so much going on IRL while moving and everything, so you really came in at a very nice time, so thank you so much for helping me and this community by, yeah, commentating when it was needed, and solo.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. This was a lot of fun. I think, depending on how my schedule turns out this semester, I might be doing some more commentary next season, but for now, we'll watch what happens at the end of this season, as we currently have Marley in first place and Clown in second place, only separated by 7 points, so this is truly a championship deciding race. It'll be very interesting to see what happens here. Clown with maybe a bit of a better form in these last few races, so momentum looks to be on his side, but we never know, as Marley has been the most consistent driver this season. We can't really say who is actually gonna win this championship title. And with that, we're cutting to the game. And we're currently in qualifying, 6 minutes and 30 seconds left, and no time set so far. Actually, Matzer has just set a 36.7, followed, and Smolder has set a 36.4, so now we see the times rolling in. New with the next best time of 36.093.
Yeah, considering how the world record on this track was a 1:34 or something, I think, so these guys are pretty fast. And Marley, 1:35.6, wow. And I don't know if it's bugged for me, but he has a lot of damage on my screen.
I believe that is a bug on your side, as his car looks clean as a whistle on my end.
Right then, so a 1:35.6, and that's a half a second faster than Nui in second place, so Marley is setting a really good benchmark time here, and he's still out qualifying. I mean, yeah, he's still on a hot lap, so he might even improve, so...
Although at this point, I do believe we should mention this. Both Nui and Dakuza still have a chance of winning this championship if for some reason both Clown and Marley fail to finish this race, as 50 points are awarded to the winning driver. Nui is currently 30 points behind, and I do believe Dakuza is only 6 or 11 points behind that, so this championship is still wide open.
Yeah, considering how Clown, I was talking to him on Discord just now, and he said he had slept for 2 hours these last 2 days, and he had drunk so much coffee to try and stay awake for this race. So everything can happen, I believe. So yeah, it was Clown and Dakuza, you said. I mean Nui and
Nui and Dakuza are currently in third for Nui and fourth for Dakuza, and they are still in the fight for the championship, although only slightly.
Yep, here comes Rick. He's actually improved on Marley's time there by just a little bit. There are 200ths of a second, is it? I'm trying to learn this still. It's when you have 0.1,
that is a hundredth.
Yes, okay, yeah, I think I got it right then, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Rick in front there, he has certainly improved. He's just... I'm checking standings again to check on him. He is in 5th. Yeah, he's the last half of the season, he's just been on point, so he... I'm just checking the gap here. He is 50 points behind Marley, so Marley is not gonna be...
That is up for debate, actually, because if Marley does not finish the race and Arsik wins, and Clown does not finish the race for some reason, and both Nui and Dakuza don't score enough points, Arsik may still win this championship decider as well, so there's, in theory, still the possibility of 5 different drivers winning this championship, although we don't know how it would work, as consistency probably is the deciding factor, which is something I do believe Arsik could not match Marley on, as Marley has the most second place finishes this season by far. It would make it very difficult for anybody else to catch up in that regard.
Yeah, and a very good qualifying by midweek here. Well, it looks like Marley and Rick is setting the pace here with 0.2 of a second behind here from midweek coma, so...
we also should mention that Clown has so far not set a lap. He has now gone out, currently with a 1:35.6. I would say he is currently the man who can take the championship, and Marley is the man who can lose it. But that would be selling this championship battle short of what it actually is.
Be careful now. It's the commentary's curse, you know.
It is the commentary's curse, indeed.
I think I cursed Oblitor that one time, where I told him that he might make more mistakes, and he just made more mistakes. So, yeah. Oh, that's
and midweek coma going sideways through that corner. Certainly not the fastest way around the track, but flashy indeed.
Hey, Rick is actually closing in on the world record right now.
With Ursik putting down the first driver in the 1:34s. Very dominant showing from him in terms of pace. Also, probably one of the faster qualifying drivers currently in this split. Usually we can find him on the front row or the front 2 rows, so let's see if he can improve on that time yet again.
Oh yeah, he's running that engine red hot. As you can see, it's 130 degrees right now, and he has shut off every little vent that car has to try and maximize that straight line speed. Just to mention the track, it's of course the... Whoa, that was
with
almost...
his car going through the corners sideways, in very interesting driving style. Reminiscent of how a rally car handles, very much on the limit. I think a slight misstep on his end would probably cause the car to spin, so very good driving on his end.
Here comes Clown. 8 to 10 hundredths of a second off. So.
Only 89 thousandths off. That would be... it would be 8 hundredths or 89 thousandths. It's
yeah.
something to get used to.
Yeah, I have no idea still. Yeah. So, yeah, but Clown then. And that's...
Arsik improving yet again with a 1:34.7.
I think
incredible
actually he's 1/10 away from the world record now, in the Audi at least, I think so. Or it was a 1:30... I can double check.
And once due to that, we might want to pan to another driver. Although the qualifying is almost over, we only have 10 seconds remaining. So I do not believe we will see much more improvements, at least not from Marley. But Clown is still out on track, so we might yet see another best lap from him. Considering the monster lap time Arsik has just put on the board, even I believe that Clown can't dig enough time out of that to take that pole position from him, but we never know, and that's the beauty of AOR GT3 racing.
Indeed, he is still in second.
And he's still in second place, only 22 thousandths off of Arsik. These two drivers basically lapped the, I do believe, is it 4 km to 3. I have no idea how long this track actually is, at about the same pace. Crossing the finish line.
So Rick is... I just noticed that Rick has the official world record for this track with that Mercedes, and he's actually ran a 1:33.9. So
even then, still a bit off from his personal world record. Probably down to a difference in setup, as the current conditions require you to drive a bit differently than the optimal conditions the game usually puts you in for time trialing. As we now have Shooter on screen, who is currently in sixth position. Another good qualifying from him towards the end of the season. So as we have it now, the grid order is RC Clown, Marley, Midweek Coma, Nui, Shooter, 80, Lusty, Dakuza, Smolda, Oblator, Storment, S4 Howie, Gosku, Shaggy Dan, WMDR Martin, and Madster. Shaggy Dan being a bit far back this time around. We've had him mention that he's not feeling all that well today, which might affect his performance, which then again is not very good for the team standings, as I do not have the means to pull them up right now, but Team VDT, the red and blue Eagle Audi, are currently leading that championship, but they might very well lose it if both drivers do not finish this race today.
Yeah, we have both Mercedes drivers, Oblitor and Rick, in second, the constructors with a 21-point gap, and I think that could really easily be taken by the Mercedes drivers here, considering how fast Rick is tonight. So Oblitor in 10th though, so we might. It's going to be a
very close call in the as well.
Yeah.
As we have the cars on the grid now, drivers currently setting up their cars or choosing their setups as we have had it the entire season. They will start the race in a formation lap, and the leading driver will start the race once they cross the acceleration point, which I do believe is the first white line on the start-finish straight. I haven't checked it exactly yet.
It is.
So it's up to Arsic to decide when the race officially starts.
Sponsored by Rolex, by the way.
Sponsored by Rolex. Rolex, please.
I'm just checking out the other Sarth. What is that? I'm trying to figure out what the other sponsors are here. It looks like it's only Rolex.
Yeah.
I guess Rolex has a huge part to do with 24-hour
of Le Mans.
Yeah.
It is very likely, as they are also the time sponsor for Formula 1, I believe.
Yep. Have you seen like the Australia race? It's Rolex all over the place.
I have indeed.
Yeah. Oh, what did you think about the race though
at Belgium this season?
At Spa, yeah.
Oh my lord. Well, that Ferrari walked past the Mercedes like it was standing still, wasn't it?
Yeah. Can't believe actually that Ferrari got the like I thought like Mercedes could never be overtaken in terms of engine power, and it seems like Ferrari
have done it. But that's another conversation for another day, as we currently have the cars going out on their formation lap. Like I said, they will try warming up their tires by swerving around the track like they were doing now, so they can go as hard and deep into the first corner and not lose any positions, and even make up some in the ideal case. Of course, for Arsic, the ideal scenario would be to not lose that first position to Clown, as we have it at the moment. I do believe if Clown were to finish first, he would have to have Marley in third position to take this championship home. Consequently, if Marley were to finish second, or I believe fourth, Clown would have to finish second, I believe, for the first few ranks, but do not quote me on that. I'm not very well versed in the points as they are now. There's a lot of points to give and to collect, so we'll just see what happens after the race, I would say.
Yeah, as you mentioned, that top 5 position there, everyone can be the championship title holder actually, so I knew we might actually win this as well. So,
and yeah, what I believe I haven't mentioned yet, there's actually a surprise car. Very high up on the grid, in 4th position, we have Midwee Como, who was struggling in the last few rounds, having out-qualified his teammate Nui, I believe maybe the first time this season, and put the car in the second row of the grid. So, great job by him.
Yep, I'm gonna find him in the standings. Yeah, he's in 12th, and yeah, Ricky Broche is out of the championship as he is not coming tonight either, so he might actually be battling with Schroeder now. If Schroeder finishes further back though, so reach the formation zone, it seems.
As we have, it appears we have. So the car is now going side by side through these last few corners. The tension is rising.
Oh yes, this turn 1 could really... It's like this long right kink, and if you miss your braking point, it could really affect your...
It can get very chaotic and mess up your lap. So,
Rick just
Arsic
going right away.
Very early. And nobody expected it. He's already 0.5 seconds off of Clown. Clown himself already being about 0.4 seconds off of Marley. I think they even caught us a bit by surprise as Lusty and Shooter go side by side into turn 1. Oh. And Nui turns into Shooter and Nui hits Shooter, who then consequently hits Lusty, I believe.
Oh no, that's the championship title maybe slipping away from Nui there on lap 1, turn 1.
That is a very unfortunate accident right there. I do not believe that neither Lusty nor Nui knew that there was the yellow BMW of Shooter on the inside there. I would call it a racing incident. We'll see what it is later on. But a very unfortunate turn of events for Nui right there. And Arctic going very wide through that section of corners, possibly losing quite a lot of time there with giving Clown the room to attack him into the S section in Sector 2.
There they come then. There's a bit of a train further back here. I think we have a battle for 7th right now between Smolda and Shooter, and it's battles all over the track right now. I'm trying to find the tightest ones. Oh, we have Master and Oblitor and Shaggy. Oh, Shaggy is actually moving up the field right now over Master. But Shaggy didn't finish. I mean, he qualified further up, didn't he?
I believe he's had a horrid start to his race. Let's see what he can make of this. Maybe he can salvage the top 10 position spot for himself. It looks like right now he had been struggling in qualifying. Let's see if he can convert though in the race.
Here comes Oblitor. Oblitor has been really fast this earlier on in the championship, so we might see him just carving through the field here.
Oblitor being relegated to 16th place from 10th on the grid, losing quite a lot of positions in that first lap. Possibly in some of that chaos that happened because of the collision between Nui, Lusty, and Shooter. Dakuza having just received a time penalty, 2 seconds actually, for possibly going off of the track in turn 2.
Here comes Storm. He is really... I was looking at the timings. He has been on this Martin's tail for a long time now. Yeah, Martin...
Stormate going for a move around the outside into the S section possibly, as they are in a drag race between Audi-powered cars. The Lamborghini, of course, having the same V10 engine that the Audi R8 has, with a little bit of a different suspension and aerodynamic setup, though.
Yeah, here they come through that twist a bit, so we might see him try to make a move at that start-finish straight. Onto the... Oh, Shooter's in the pits already.
Going for a very early pit stop. It might be that he's carried away some damage from the contact with the Lusty on that lap 1, so he wants to get that car fixed as soon as he can. Although his car looks to be in... Actually, his front end is quite a bit off of where it's supposed to be. So it looks like he'll have that damage fixed.
Here comes Howie as well. Yeah, having that required pit stop is certainly a much better mechanic, I believe. I think because it's not just going to ruin your race if you have to pit once for damage, and so of course it's going to be a slower pit stop than non-damage one, but it might not ruin your race as much. So yeah, Shooter's still in the game.
As it is, he might lose about 2/10 a lap if he drives with that damage, so he's decided to not risk it and pit early. As Nui is now very close to Gasku. I have quite a bit of a game lag here at the moment. I'm sorry about that. It's very uncharacteristic.
I can hear it on Discord as well. You're a bit too robotic.
Even in this game, seems to be... It might be that Discord is having server issues at the moment, as I have indeed updated my Steam, I believe it was yesterday. So there should not be anything on that side, but we'll see as the race progresses.
Here comes Nui with a vengeance though after that first lap incident, so he's trying to push as hard as he can here, as you can see. He's improving his lap time every turn, I mean sector time, so... Oh!
Nui now, Gasku actually going very wide on that entrance into the pits with the side of Newey's car being all banged up. I can't imagine that he won't fix that car as soon as he can. He will undoubtedly lose a bit of time in the pits, but ultimately gain a lot of time by not having to drive a damaged car. He's actually not fixing the damage, though.
Hey, that was a Formula 1 stop if I've ever seen one.
It was indeed. Williams quality, I would say. Less than a second.
Yeah,
well, 2
Marley
seconds.
catching Rick here.
Marley catching rFactor with Clown currently in first. When's this happened? While we were watching the other drivers, Clown has moved into the top spot, with rFactor also having gotten a penalty, as well as Midway Coma. A lot of drivers are actually getting penalties here. Oblator with a 32-second time penalty.
No.
Very likely that he's received that while overtaking a car off the track as he was taking avoiding action. I do believe we won't see that stick, but he does have a 2-second penalty on top of that 30-second penalty, which is very likely to is very likely to have gotten in the same spots that most of these other drivers are getting them. I believe in one of the S sections on this track, either turn 1 and turn 2, the S section at the beginning of sector 3, or the double right-hander at the end of the 3rd sector.
Yeah, so tempting with these flowing corners to just smash it over the apex there and just continue. But yeah, of course, the game might just judge you as they've done here. Poorly. Here we go with Oblator now in 11th and Shakedown in 10th. I think that's because of the pit stops by Shooter, Howie, and the boys.
Some of the other drivers as well, indeed.
Did Gosku pit?
Gosku did pit indeed, as he pitted just before Newey.
So he's come out and in traffic with Howie, and that's certainly not beneficial for him considering Howie's in last place and being kept up by Howie. So,
but it is very
shout out to Howie, by the way, our host,
our current host. Although it's very likely to see that it is very likely that we will see a good battle between Howie and Gosku. We currently have Shooter and Newey fighting just in front of them. Of course, those two being drivers that were caught up in an incident. It's very interesting that Shooter didn't seem to have much of as much of an issue as WMDR Martin and Stormet go side by side into the S section at the end of Sector 2. WMDR Martin comes out on top still, so Stormet seems to be biting out his teeth on the rear of that Lamborghini, not Aston Martin.
Yeah, Storm has been hunting for that position for 2 laps straight now, and it seems like he's really wanting to get it done. And Martin said on Discord that he had just 1 hour of practice on this track, so yeah, with Storm. Oh, there goes Martin on the defensive though.
Martin going very defensive into that right kink and taking a very, very, very tight line through the turn 1 and turn 2. Parking that car basically on the apex so that Stormet can't accelerate to make up any time behind him.
That's a very different line there for Martin, taking that really late apex to try and get that straight line speed earlier. But I mean, yeah, and Storm, yeah, still on his tail though. So I can't believe how many drivers got a penalty right now. It's
quite incredible indeed. As it sits right now, Clown is 2 seconds ahead of rFactor already, and that is before penalties. So rFactor seems to be struggling quite a bit. Actually, as we have it now, rFactor has spun his car as he's handed back to 7th position.
Oh no.
Does not look good for the Mercedes driver, who was running so well in qualifying, and in the beginning of this race, now having made that mistake, possibly...
We might see him going... I thought you might even see him go into the pits one of these coming race, laps now, as those tires are gonna be dead. So yeah, I can see him already kind of struggling. So we might see him go into the pits the next lap to try and cool those tires a little bit. Here comes Martin though.
WMDR Martin, who has pulled away from Storman, who's likely gone into the pits, not wanting to be held up by the what he believes to be slower Aston Martin of WMDR Martin. Why do I keep saying Aston Martin? I don't know. Maybe it's because his name is Martin.
Yes.
That must be it. My apologies.
Yeah, so Marley keeping this championship still, considering how he's in second position and 4 seconds behind Clown. 5 seconds almost. So Clown
5 seconds behind Clown. But as it is right now, Clown would need a miracle for anybody to catch up to Marley.
Yeah, Clown setting the best lap times off the race right now, with Marley close behind. Actually, Nui is coming in with... I'm actually lying. Nui is the fastest on the grid right now.
With
so,
a
yeah,
136.3 compared to a 136.5 from Clown.
Yeah, probably seeing blood right now, considering that first incident. So he's on it now. So yeah, it would be a... If actually Nui wins the championship, that's gonna be that's gonna put this race up there for me, at least, considering how many races I've seen right now. That would be amazing. Rick's in the pits.
It would be quite amazing, yep. And it would be very unlikely, I believe. Arstic having gone into the pits, there seems to be some damage to the front end of his Mercedes, so there might have been some contact actually that had seen him go off instead of him spinning.
Oh,
I don't believe we have
some repairing.
That is quite a lot of repairing, actually. We haven't had any lapped tires so far.
Yeah, so he had a pit stop on par with Shooter there, so we might... it's gonna be a kind of a battle between Shooter and Rick right now. So, well, not really, as I just noticed that he's actually 2 minutes behind Clown right now. Oh, that's a bug. He has 50 seconds. I was kind of confused, actually. 2 minutes sounded like too much. Yeah, so he's 50 seconds behind Clown there, and considering how he was in first, that's gonna be devastating for him.
I would assume that would equate to about 20 seconds on a lap, as a full pit stop is, I would say, between 19 or between 18 and 20 seconds. So he's officially 32 seconds behind, around 32 seconds behind Clown. With
yep, here comes
Ablator and Shaggy Dan now going at it. Shaggy Dan currently in 8th, of course, being a profiter from not having pitted at this moment, running a bit in clean air. He seems to be struggling a bit less than some of the other drivers at the moment, with the car being very stable. And Ablator also still has that 32-second time penalty officially, but I would say 2-second time penalty to worry about. So even if you were to overtake Shaggy Dan at this point in time, he would still have to be 2 seconds in front of him if he were to take that position, or if he wanted to take that position.
Yep. The penalty though is gonna put him, if it's actually right, it's gonna put him in a battle with Richter, his teammate. So we were talking about the team championship. I can't speak English today. Yeah, the team championship, the Mercedes will not be able to take that title, as they're so close to the Audis of Clown and Shaggy Dan. So yeah, looks like Shaggy Dan and Clown are still might actually be getting that championship in the box. I can't really say that, as the commentator's curse is real, and we might just see Shaggy Dan or Clown just crash horrifically now. So yeah, a little bit of a battle between Shaggy Dan and Oblator there. Oblator actually catching Shaggy Dan slightly. Caught 0.3 hundredths of a second there, so closing up ever more.
With the power of that Mercedes, of course, propelling him forward on the straights, there is very little you can do with the Audi. Although, again, the Mercedes is one of the heavier cars, so he is likely to lose out of it during cornering, especially during some of the faster cornering. but as it appears right now, he's not actually looking to overtake Shaggy Dan and just pressuring him into making a mistake instead.
Yep, here comes Martin into pits, and
what'll be interesting to see if Stormet comes out in front of him. It does not appear to be the case, as Stormet is currently behind S4 Howie and Gasku as well, so he's gonna have to overtake those two if he wants to go back and get into a fight with WMDR Martin. So it seems to me that the overcut on this track is the way to go, at least at the moment.
I think I know what the undercut, but what does the overcut mean though?
Overcut is when you wait longer to go into the pits and set very fast lap times to essentially, or lap times faster than the car coming out of the pits with fresher tires.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's the thing that Sebastian Vettel did in 2017 at Monaco. That would be an overcut.
Hey, I'm actually quite excited for the 2019 season though for Formula 1. It's gonna be cool to see the new, I think it's gonna be new rims. The tire regulation has changed, so it's gonna be much bigger rims and
I believe we will see 17 or 18-inch wheels, I think, in 2019, as well as redesigned front and rear wings, as well as mirrors as it stands at the moment.
Ooh.
Abeltor being very close to Shaggy Dan, putting a lot of pressure on the Canadian, who doesn't show any signs of cracking at the moment. A very consistent driver himself. Shaggy Dan currently not setting the best pace with a 1:37.6. Then again, also not the worst pace. About 9/10 off of what the guys at the front are setting, and by that I mean Marley, as Clown is just in a league of his own at the moment.
Yeah, Clown is driving the race of his life right here. He's sitting 36.3s in just so consistently right now. So I think that I really want some of that coffee that he's been drinking. I think it's working. So here he comes down onto the straight.
He's gonna have to share some of it with us if it causes your performance to increase by this amount.
Yep.
With a 1:37 this lap, as we actually say that, maybe I don't want that coffee. As Marley does a 1:36.7. Their gap currently be around 5 seconds, with Midway Coma another 3 seconds behind them, and Dakuza being right on his heels.
Yep, Dakuza having that legendary round last time at what was it again?
Watkins
it was
Glen.
in New York. Yeah, Watkins Glen. Yeah. Dakuza really impressed me there, so might see him take something out of the bag this time as well. As we mentioned, he might be one of those title clinching drivers as well. So
he still has the opportunity to take this title, but only, really only if Clown and Marley don't manage to finish this race.
Clown
As
and
I
Marley.
do believe if either of them were to finish this race, there would not be enough points for him to gather to take that first position on the Drivers' Championship table.
You're actually really lagging for me right now. I have no idea why. Could try connecting to Discord. Give me a sec. And I'm back.
Is it better now? You don't seem to be lagging for me, and on stream everything is just fine.
Yeah, I'll go check the chat for a second as well. Is there anything happening? I really need to get a second monitor so I can check check things outside the game without alt-tabbing all the time. Yeah, it's still a battle between Dakuza and Luster, and Dakuza catching bit by bit here, and oh, look at that lap times. Those lap times of Midway Coma and Dakuza there. It's so similar, so...
They are basically racing at the same pace at the moment. Although I do believe Dakuza may have a bit more to give, as he's currently in the dirty air, as well as the slipstream of the Audi in front of him.
Yep. Oblitoro though is still on the attack for Shagadan. So Shagadan not relenting under the pressure here. Oh. Oblitoro almost hitting
quite wide there on mid-corner, but managing to keep it tidy. With Shagadan actually going a bit wide through there. So these drivers are not giving each other the time of day at the moment. Currently with Oblitoro being able to close up very much under braking here, it seems. Quite interesting to see, as the Mercedes does not have the best brakes on the grid, but we do not know how well the car of Shagadan is set up at the moment. Of course, he doesn't seem to be struggling, but his pace is a bit lacking compared to some of the other drivers in front of him. With Midway Coma actually having lost the position to Dakuza.
Yeah, I was about to say.
As I've just noticed in the standings, as his time is a 38.8 compared to 37.5 from Dakuza. So, thank God I have these timings here as well for myself. Otherwise, I would not have noticed that.
Yeah, I just noticed that we have a ton of people in chat actually. That's amazing. I'm just gonna read a little bit here. Hey, yeah, Scott coming in to cheering for his old teammate Lusty. Yeah, if you don't remember, Scott was the guy that was in Tier 2 last season, Season 9, and he was dominating that shit. Yeah, he was just insane. So, yeah, that's the clown I was expecting.
As Dakuza loses the rear end!
Oh no.
By quite a bit, and Lusty overtakes him as well. So, it's very likely that those championship hopes are gone as well for him. I mean, of course, miracles can happen. Miracles can happen, but we should not commentate these things, as we seem to have cursed just about everybody but Marley and Clown.
Yeah.
Although then again, fairness sakes, we should curse them as well.
Here comes the Oblitoro though. So, yeah, Shagadan there, just being the veteran that he is, he's just used to having people on his tail, so not buckling under the pressure at all, it seems. So, oh, here comes Dakuza in the pits. Yeah, probably cooked those tires real good. Or did he get damaged as well?
I do not believe there was contact between him and another driver. He waited until Lusty had passed him on track to rejoin the track, I believe. So everything should be fine, as now Shagadan and Oblitoro overtake Dakuza as well. Then again, these two drivers have not pitted thus far. Actually, Oblitoro may have already pitted, although I do not believe you are allowed to pit on the first lap. So, on lap 1 or lap 2.
Oh,
so
no,
I cannot confirm what has happened.
Rick has retired. Oh no.
Arsic has retired, and with that we only have 15 drivers left. Arsic not being able to take that championship today, it seems. Very frustrating race for him. But we'll see what Oblitoro can pull out of it for the Hot Wheels AMG cars we have, or we are watching at the moment.
Yeah, Ricky, you're gonna have to give your energy to Oblitoro. He's been struggling behind Shagadan now. Oh, as I say that, they're side by side. I think Shagadan got a boatload of oversteer
there, it seems.
Oh.
He might have a look up into the S section there, but decides not to pull it off. I think he knows that if he were to fight with Oblitoro now, he may lose more time than he could gain by taking that position. So, maybe just watch the line of the Mercedes driver, adjust your own a bit here and there, and dig deep for those lap times.
Yup, and I think we have a battle for 13th right now with Howie and Storm. I'm gonna check how many points they get for 5th. Yeah, 15th is gonna be 6 points. So Might actually be a little bit of a rivalry further back in the field. Of course, it's not going to be first in the championship though, but as a driver you set yourself kind of goals, or you get a choose a rival, and it's fun to race against them if you know that you're not going to be competitive for the championship title. So yeah, Howie and Storm in championship standings, they are where is he? Howie is in 13th.
7 of 15 drivers, so just under half of them have a penalty for cutting track at one point or another.
Hey, I just realized, are Howie and Storm teammates? I think they are. Hey, they are actually teammates. So, yeah, but I'm being ridiculously close in pace here. As you can see in the championship standings, Howie is in 13th. And Storm is in 14th, and they have a gap of 3 points, so they are yeah, you can really see that they're similar in pace now, as they are so close to each other in the race as well. So yeah, Lusty battling Midwicoma now.
Lusty very close to the rear end of that Audi. Lusty being the teammate of Dakuza, who had spun earlier as well, just after overtaking Midwicoma and getting into that third position. Very frustrating for him. Let's see if Lusty can do the same without making that mistake. Although with that, I might have cursed him as well just now.
Yeah, let's hope not. And Shagadan is in the pits. That's let Oblitor free now in 6th. Shagadan coming out at... Yeah,
as
Shagadan is gonna be...
seems to have pitted for tires there a bit.
Yeah, he might have... yeah, he just might have chosen to change them out. As you can see, he's got so much oversteer, so... understeer, excuse me. So he might actually have chosen to switch those tires out for some that are not so overheated. And
that
yeah,
may well
let's
be
see if
the
it pays
case.
out.
As we're currently on lap 18 of 37, so we are halfway through this race. It could be that he's decided on taking another tire compound entirely, as the track may have cooled down enough for you to use the soft tire compound, which I do not believe they were using for qualifying or the start of this race.
Yeah, race date is at 10th of June, and it's a night race. It's this race started at 2 AM, so yeah, might actually have been cooling down, and it's hazy in weather.
But as it stands right now, Shagadan is 15th, 5 seconds behind Madster, and Madster, as for Howie, Stormet, and Gosku have already pitted, all 4 of them. WMDO Martin as well as Dakuza. So all the drivers in front of him at the moment have been in the pits, so these are people he would have to potentially overtake if he were to want to gain a position. Shooter 80 and Nui and Shooter, yeah. Shui having pitted as well at this point in the race. I do not believe we've seen Oblitor or Smolda in the pits, as well as Lusty. And
didn't we see Oblitor though? No, that was probably Rick. Yeah, that was Rick pitting. Yeah.
I do not believe we've seen Clown or Marley in the pits either at the moment. And as we have it right now, Arstic had braking problems in the beginning of his race, which is why he had let Clown past. It seems that he could not fix those issues, and that is the reason he retired from this race. Truly a shame.
Lusty has taken 3rd while we were alt-tabbing. So Lusty now in 3rd.
This race is truly moving. I do not believe Lusty has pitted yet, but neither has Midwicoma, as Lusty makes a mistake, and that opens up the inside of, I believe that is turn 3? Turn 3 or 4. For Midwicoma as they go side by side into the car. There's a bit of contact between the Audi and the BMW as Midwicoma lets Lusty pass, as he believes that was his mistake. Very, very gentlemanlike from Midweek Coma there. I do believe I would have called that a racing incident there, but this is AOR and there's gentleman racing. So,
oh man, it's gonna be a tough decision for next season. I just really want to race right now. I've been commentating on 2 seasons now, and I might have got my rig up and working by season 11. So I really want to race, but I really want to commentate as well. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, might have to do a little bit of a decision gate there. But
and Midweek Coma goes off. He loses the car into the S section and possibly damages the front of his car. Oh,
if you press minus, you might see.
I don't get anything by pressing minus at the moment.
Use numlock and then.
No, I have it enabled at the moment.
Okay, it doesn't work anymore. Hey,
it does not seem to work anymore. It only works in the perspective camera. There does not seem to be any damage on the front of his Audi at the moment. So his car seems to be alright, but his pride may have been hurt by that spin.
I'm gonna try to reset this for you. Is it reset now?
It is reset indeed.
Yep. I was gonna ask you, which tier do you think you would come in if you did the evaluation races and everything?
If I were to do an evaluation race, it would I believe it would depend on which car I were to choose and which tracks we were time trialing on. I believe, or last time I checked, I was second in the Mercedes AMG world record or time trial runs on the Nürburgring Nordschleife combined.
What?
But then again, yeah, with 8 minutes, 8 seconds, and some change. So I do have a bit of pace in me, I believe, but I am not nearly as consistent as the guys in Tier 2, so I do believe I would fall into Tier 3.
Yeah. Do you like, you said you'd like the Mercedes, do you like an oversteery car then? Because...
you say that, but as I tune my cars, they tend to 4-wheel drift a lot more than some of the other guys' setups. Which makes them feel understeery to most people, which is why they do not like my setups. It works for me.
Yeah, but that's kind of the car balance though, because if you have an oversteery car by nature... Oh, here comes a Midweek Coma and then...
Coming into the
F1 pit stop.
One pit stop right there.
I'm actually really curious. I'm gonna ask Rick in chat, do you do those pit stops like after you had an incident just to cool down your tires? So... Just a little question to chat right here. I'm just reading chat again. Yeah. So, yeah, but when you have a Mercedes, that's an oversteery car by nature, isn't it?
It is very oversteer, or it can be very oversteer under power, but just like I said, depending on how you set it up, it can be very compliant through the corners as well.
Yeah, because when you say that you 4-wheel slide, then that's gonna mean that you tune the car so the front gets away when the rear does as well. So, kind of, yeah, because it's so hard to. It's like driving preference is so different between, like, even in Formula 1 with Raikkonen and Vettel. Considering how Raikkonen really likes an oversteer car in like the tight turns, he likes to slide it out just to control the car, and Vettel likes the understeer car. So
very much indeed. I believe if I were to say on a scale from 1 to 10 on oversteer and understeer, with or -1 or like 0 or -10 to 0 to 10. -10 being an oversteery car and 10 being a completely understeery car, I believe I would have it at around 1 or 2.
Here
so
comes
I do
Dakuza.
prefer. Here comes Dakuza, indeed. Being very close to Midweek Coma at this point. Maybe showing us another miracle run this race. Although, considering the gap they have to the cars in front, I do not believe we will see the type of miracle that we saw in Watkins Glen.
For 8 cars to lose 50 seconds, that's gonna be a momentous task for Dakusa here, and yeah, the clown is just setting the lap times off his life just now, trying to cling on to the championship hopes, but Marley in second, that's not gonna give him the gap he needs to in terms of points for the...
No matter how far Clown races away, as long as Marley is in second position, Clown cannot win this championship.
Yep. It's actually someone talking to in chat. It was Voodoo. Hey Voodoo, I remember you now.
The setup guru, I would believe.
Low tier. He said you're low tier 2, high tier 3. Or is that what it means?
I do believe that's what he means.
Yeah. Thanks, Sandal, for answering my question. I was just because, you know, if you want to cool down your tires, and that little bit of time in the pits is not going to do that much, so I guess a little bit, but oh, here comes Oblitor. Didn't Oblitor already pit when...
No, that was Arsic.
Oh, that was Rick. Oh, damn it, those liveries are so similar.
Alright, as we have it now, we actually do have Arsic in chat. Is it pronounced Rick or Arsic, or how do we pronounce your name?
Yeah, the age-old question.
Exactly.
Dakusa? Yeah. That delivery there is so confusing. As you can see, is Howie has the same one, just different colors. And it's a different team, so... Master, whose team it is... yeah, Matster is with Ricky.
Who is currently not participating in this race. I believe he's dropped out at this point.
Yep.
Not being in the last few races, I believe. He was not at Watkins Glen. He is not at Bugatti at this point. What did we race? Sugo was before Watkins. Did we see him there? Do you remember?
Did I even commentate on that?
You did commentate with a very, very sore throat, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't really remember much of that, because I think my body just shut down afterwards, so I think I just deleted everything that happened in the race, but... Yeah. By the way, if you're watching and you're not familiar with the racing going on, the drivers, some of the drivers usually write up a little kind of a blog post on the forums afterwards about the race. I really like to read those. Those are really interesting too. It's kind of easier for us commentators to get into the kind of what's going on inside their heads instead of trying to figure it out while watching the race. So cool to read it afterwards.
Very
so
cool.
it's probably going to be a lot of posts after tonight, considering it's the last one. So yeah, head on over if you want.
White with Dakusa still being on the tail of Midway Coma at this point in time, fighting for that 7th position, and possibly actually 6th position, as I don't think Smolda has pitted yet. He is currently in 4th position.
In terms of timing, it looked like Master was about to pass, so I just panned over, but it seems like the gap is still the same there, so we can go back to Oblitor and... yeah, Dakusa and Midway. Oh!
And Dakusa going... and Midway Coma going side by side there. Midway Coma losing it out of the corner. I think there was like a little love tap between the two. Nothing major there. Dakusa having just made that move, with Midway Coma believing himself...
There is Dakusa though. I thought Dakusa was going to let him pass there, but it's...
I believe he is going to, but as they've just moved up into the corner, that would hinder WMD or Martin, which would have been a dangerous move there. And of course they don't want to... Neither of them want to lose a position to WMD or Martin at this point in time.
I think actually Dakusa was thinking about giving it back. Oh! Here goes Martin. We're gonna go on board with Martin because he's on the pad now, so you can see that Twitch is steering. His race is on a gamepad, so Yeah, I just have to give him a little shout out every time I see him on board, because I just can't imagine league racing with a controller, considering how bad I am at it myself. But
Midway Coma and Dakusa go side by side. There's a little bit of contact between the two. WMDO Martin has to avoid the rear of the Audi as both of them come out of turn 2, or all three of them come out of turn 2. Some very close racing right now.
Here comes Gosku as well.
Gosku and Abletor going side by side. Gosku not giving Abletor a lot of room, understeering that corner and conceding the position to the AMG driver.
Wow, suddenly a lot of action going on now. It's kind of, that race kind of died down a little bit, but now it's action all over the place. So, yeah, same gap now. I have a little bit of a timing bug, so I get baited into thinking there's a battle going on. Whereas when you know when the gaps are the same, so I think there's overtaking going on, but it's not. So here we have a little bit of a train coming for 7th position with Takusa in front and Midwikoma, and then Martin behind there. So Martin being overtaken by both of those. I remember Takusa going past Midwikoma at least.
White. I believe it happened on it did happen on the last lap where Dakusa overtook Midwikoma. There might have been a bit of contact between the two, and Dakusa may have tried to let Midwikoma pass, or he actually slowed down because he had received a warning for a track cut. Either of those two could have happened, but as we have it now, that backed up Midwikoma and Dakusa right into the firing line of WMDO Martin, who is now sticking very close to these two drivers.
He's even got his wipers on, trying to remove those bugs to see clearly.
Trying to wipe away that wind from his windscreen to reduce the drag of his car at the moment.
Very smart.
Very smart move on his side as he loses the car out of turn... I don't even know what turn that is. Turn 3?
Yep.
Very, very frustrating to see him make that mistake. There doesn't seem to be all that much damage to the front of his car. We never know. It seems to be alright at the moment.
Aero damage. So might mess a little bit with the balance of his car though. So
it seems to me that we are cursing drivers by watching them at the moment.
Yeah, it seems
instead
like
of commentating about them.
Okay, so as Jens mentioned in chat, Clown Mardley has to finish in 3rd or below for Clown to win. So yeah, Clown just driving the race of his life here is still in front, and has increased the gap to an incredible 7 seconds now. So Clown showing a dominant performance right here, but Marley though is still hanging on here. So yeah, that gap from Marley to Lusty behind is 11 seconds. So if we could take a little bit of a bribe from Clown here and watch Marley then. So Marley makes a mistake and gets 3rd or below. Here comes Martin into the pits again. Might even retire or try to fix some damage.
Does seem that he has quite a bit of damage from that. The car twitching as he turns into the pits.
Yep. Remember, he's a pad driver.
Driver.
Okay.
Clown coming into the pits now, so this is going to shake things up. We don't know if he's going to come out in traffic and if he's going to lose time because of it. Of course, the same thing goes for Marley. The question is, does he come out in front of Lusty or not? Clown was about 7 to 8 seconds ahead, and he is now officially... when will the game actually tell us? He's not 1 minute and 42 seconds behind, I'll tell you that much, guys.
Yep, it's 14 seconds now, so...
He's lost about 22 to 23 seconds. I assumed it would be around 20, so that's not too far off. We could very well take this same amount of time for Marley. This would confirm that neither Smolda nor Lusty have pitted yet. They have to do so by lap 32 as per the rulebook of AOR Racing, or GT3 Racing, as it is this season, with Clown possibly being held up by Smolda at this point in time.
Yeah, that's gonna be disastrous considering the... Oh, Here he comes though.
Here he comes.
Smolda.
Smolda leaving a lot of room there, not fighting for that position as he knows that he still has to pit and
he's not fighting for position, yeah.
Would rather not hold himself and Clown up as Smolda possibly looking to come out around Dakuza or Shooter, I believe. It seems he would come out around the place where Shooter is at the moment. I do believe just after Shooter, as he goes and loses the car on pit entry, which has cost him quite a lot of time. This would of course mean that he will of course come out behind Shooter, even if things go well in the pits, I believe. As Shooter now comes into that last double right-hander there. Now, we'll have to see where Smolda comes out, as he's just sitting in the pits right now.
Oh, Shooter is setting the laps of the race right now for him.
And Shooter comes out ahead of Smolda. Just like I said right now, the spin or the wasn't really a spin, but going wide on the entrance of that pit entry has cost Smolda this second place that he was in just now. Lusty, of course, still not having pitted, would come out ahead of these guys and would possibly come out around where Nui is at the moment. As I've said, the pit time is about 23, or as we've found out, the pit time is about 23 seconds, and Nui was about 25 seconds.
Here comes Marley now. This is gonna be. This might actually be the championship deciding thing right here. So we are gonna have to watch this.
Although I do not believe there are any drivers who can currently contest these two.
That was a fast pit stop though. He was so fast.
Very fast pit stop indeed, and Lusty comes into the pits as well. The question is, it looks like Clown just pulls past Marley here on the start-finish straight. So everything is fine for him. It seems like he's lost a bit of time between Smolda. I would assume that the gap between these two drivers is now around 6 seconds and not 7. And I have judged it correctly, I believe.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah,
as it's actually still going up, so they might be going back up to 7. And they are not, actually.
Yep, so Clown losing a little bit of time behind Smolda there, so... yeah, it looks like Marley is just gonna cruise home in second position and still win the championship here, so we might... Unless something disastrous happens here, so...
But... Lusty's officially overtaken Nui with that pit stop. I assumed he'd be coming out behind him by just a bit there, but it doesn't appear that that's the case. The question I have now is if Nui can catch Lusty to contest that third position.
I just realized that Nui has been amazing this race. He got caught out on that first turn for lap 1, and he's actually in 4th right now, and he has pitted, hasn't he?
He has already pitted. He pitted on the 3rd or 4th lap, I believe. Quite early in the race. So
yeah, so I can't comprehend how he's gotten so far up again.
It's very much the same thing we've seen Dakuza do last race. Quite the magic indeed.
Interested in checking out the Clown's lap time compared to Marley now. Marley coming out on... yeah, Marley still on the outlap after the pits, so... Well, yeah, yes he is. So, yeah, I'm just interested in seeing their pace and if Lusty can improve here and try and catch Marley.
Although I do not believe he has the pace to catch or make up 10 seconds in the span of 5 laps. That's a bit of too much of wishful thinking.
Yep.
So as it looks right now, Marley is currently in position to win this championship by just a tiny margin. taking that victory, or taking that championship from Clown, who is currently in first position in the race.
Yep, Clown, I don't have anything to put on this man right now. He's been driving incredibly a whole race, and yeah, I think that coffee really must be working, and it's even more impressive considering how, like, you haven't slept for 2 days. You slept 2 hours the last 2 days, I think he said. And then you come home, drink a lot of coffee, and then just go racing, and then put on a performance like this. That's incredible, in my opinion. So here comes Marley then, just checking those lap times as he comes over the start finish right now. Yep, so Clown's still setting better lap times than Marley, but Lusty is still not going to be able to catch Marley. So Marley securely being the championship title holder right now. So yep, hopefully the curse makes something happen now, so it doesn't just
I do not wish it
like
on
this.
him, I believe. He
Yeah,
has
of course
earned it as it stands at the moment, being the most consistent driver on the grid. Absolutely no fluctuations in his points. Always being in the top 10, always finishing a very solid race. If we end it as it is, he truly does deserve this championship. Of course, it'd be frustrating for Clown, who has had trouble in the early portion of the season with his pit stop and some pit stop errors caused by problems in the game. But those are things, sadly, we cannot change. And part of being a great driver and a consistent driver is also luck. And that is something that Clown did not seem to have during the early stint of this season.
Yeah, Rick says I'll be one to blame, actually. So yeah, if Rick didn't have that incident, yeah, Marley would still be in third, actually. So kind of, yeah, I actually just realized I sound so biased against Clown winning over Marley, but it's just, it would be more entertaining to watch than if something happened. But yeah, as you mentioned, Marley, hats off to that man. He's been so consistent. Actually reminds me a little bit of Scott that we might have in the chat still. In season 9, that was just so unnervingly consistent in the standing. So that's what actually put him in the. That's actually what won him the championship, as his rival. I can't really remember his name right now, but there was a serious rivalry between him and one other driver, and the rest of the drivers couldn't really touch both of them. So yeah, that other driver fell off kind of halfway through the season, and then Scott just ran through those consistent races. Oh, Clown's lap time has dropped a little bit. Yeah, just to finish, yeah, Marley really reminding me of Scott, and Scott has put on a great performance in Tier 1 as well, so might see him in Tier 1 next season. It's always fun to see. This is why I love casting Tier 2, because you kind of see people grow up in terms of like tiers. So
you see them grow as drivers by quite a bit. Like I said, a very troubled Clown, for example, coming home to maybe his top form at the end of the season, completely dominating these last few races, it seems, always being there on that podium, winning Watkins and possibly this race as well, as we only have 3 laps to go, 35, 36, and 37. Does not seem like anything can shake this man at the moment.
Yep, I'm reading chat at the moment. There's a nice discussion right now about the points and everything.
As we have it right now, we might still have a battle coming up between Midweecombe and Oblator, as it seems, as the time between them is just over 2 seconds. Other than that, we have no further battles on track. Let's see if they can give us... Actually, Shaggy Dan and Madster as well. Shaggy Dan maybe coming up for some action towards the end of this race again. Struggling quite a bit for pace at this track. having a good battle with Oblator earlier, but losing a lot of time in that process. Now, wanting to take home more than just 14th position, as it appears right now. Who else has left the race? As Arsig had retired, and somebody else must have done the same thing. So we only have 14 drivers left.
Yep, I'm trying to figure that out as well, but I can't really tell. I know it's Rick and...
WMDR Martin.
Oh!
Is not in the race anymore.
Yeah, I would just say now that he's sorry for Clown losing the championship on those two pit stop bugs there, because I think he would have had the point lead there to catch the championship title actually. So yeah, unfortunate for Clown, but yeah.
Louis Sanderson, for a sec, you are going mad at the moment. This is actually a rerun of the race we did 6 weeks ago. That's just a joke. The race had been postponed due to a lot of the drivers not being able to show up, and so it's officially round 4 as round 11.
Oh, who's that? That was someone spinning really... that was an Audi spinning on the grass back there. Howie, was it? I think he's back on track now, so I can't really tell, but there was an Audi in that turn.
Howie. As Clown has also gotten a penalty now.
Oh.
Only a 2-second time penalty. With some of the drivers, actually Gasku and Oblator both having 38-second time penalties at the moment.
30, oh no.
38 seconds indeed. Shaggy Dan, Shaggy Dan, Stormhead, Shooter, and Marley being the only drivers to not receive a penalty this race. Quite interesting.
I'm really interested in seeing where they actually get them. Well, of course, we talked about how tempting it is to get to be so fast through those S's and cut those corners, but it
is very easy indeed. Or to cut on corner exit, as the cars tend to drift out a bit in these corners. It's very hard to say where really, but a 2-second time penalty for Clown would not matter here at the moment.
So as it looks right now, Clown is in first position, and it's on his last lap. He's about to get into that's sector 1 now, and I just don't really know what to say, considering how he kind of got robbed by those bugs. But man, he's been much faster than he was in season 9, so it's really cool to see Clown there. It's, as I mentioned, you kind of get to see people grow up in sim racing, so it's momentous drive from him here, as he's still being actually 8.5 seconds gap ahead of the championship winning car currently. That's hats off.
Hats off to him indeed. Must be frustrating for him, but like I said, luck is also a skill. Something he didn't seem to have very much of at the beginning of this season.
Here he comes then into the penultimate corner of the penultimate lap, and it is Clown that wins the 10th round of the AOR championship.
The 11th, but for the 4th but 11th round, I think it is.
Here comes the championship leader, and he is gonna be the championship
winner.
Season 10. Congratulations, Marley. Here comes Lusty as well.
Lusty comes home in 3rd position. Nui comes home in 4th, followed by Shooter in a phenomenal 5th. Remember, he was...
drive, I've never seen one.
He was in that contact between himself, Nui, and Lusty in the first lap. So these 3 drivers who kind of had a bit of a kerfuffle at the beginning of the race, all came home to finish one after another in 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
All of them celebrating with their headlights now. It's good to see that the fighting spirit is still on there, and Oblator.
And Oblator celebrating by shooting his car into the wall.
Oh, we might see him. Oh, yeah, we have Gosk as well. All of them celebrating at the end of the right long kink here, it seems.
Shaggy Dan and Matster actually still fighting for that last position, it seems.
Oh, excuse. No.
And there it goes.
It.
I don't believe Shaggy Dan has actually taken that position. These are the standings for the race at the moment. Clown, Marley, Lusty, followed by Nui, Shooter, and Smolda. Dakuza in 7th, Storment in 8th. Shaggy Dan in 9th. Likely due to a lot of these penalties, it seems. I don't know what to say about these, as I'm not sure that all of these are actually gonna stay the way they are. So I'm a bit stumped. But we have an AOR Project Cars 2 GT3 Tier 2 champion, and his name is Marley57. Sadly, I don't think we can get him into the commentator's box, as he does not have a mic. I do think Clown does indeed, so we might be able to get him up here. I'm not sure about Lusty or any of the other drivers either, but we'll see. I do believe my co-commentator friend has brought him up. So let's talk to the race winner, Clown.
Hello.
Hello. So
I always forget to turn on the. I think I changed mics actually by mistake there. So excuse me. I brought Clown up here. Oh man, I don't know where to start. Congrats on the race, of course. You dominated that race, but yeah, it's gotta suck though because Marley's finished 2nd, and that's.
Yeah, it sucks so much. If Arsic actually got the pole by 22 milliseconds, if I got that pole, then I actually would have gotten the championship. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't really happen. On the first lap, I got a penalty in the last sector, or like the lap got invalidated, so it instantly invalidates the total lap as well. So I had to go back to the pits, even though I was on a hard tire strategy for the quali. So I basically had like one good lap, because you got to warm up the tires as well. So that was like yeah. But it still got me 2nd, which gave me the lead. So it was just unfortunate. It was my own mistake as well. But
yeah, but if Rick didn't retire though, wouldn't he? He might actually have finished.
But he had some. I think he had some problems with his race setup, like because he clearly didn't have the same pace that he did in quali.
Yeah, he says in chat. He says in sorry Clown in chat here on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh well.
You know, Leaky won it fair and square, or Marley won it fair and square. So, and Shaggy and I still got the constructors, I think. So, still a champion in some way, I guess.
Yes, you are. It would be cool to win both, though. But yeah, life sucks sometimes. But would I be mistaken if I said that you improved a lot from season 9 to season 10?
No, you wouldn't. I don't know where I found the pace, but like first I had the shitty Logitech wheel with like the force feedback was basically broken because the motor was broken, so I never really had good force feedback or any at all. And now after I upgraded to like a Fanatec, like a decent wheel, and also I put in a bit more time as well. And I like the season 9 was my first season in league racing, and I don't know. So
okay, so this begs the question: will you be in season 11?
I think I will be as a reserve driver, to be honest, because I'm probably going to have it very busy with school in the coming months. So.
Oh yeah, I feel you. I'm going to have a really hard decision.
Yeah, I'd rather sign up as a reserve, not to take any spots. And like this season has been the best season, or a lot. Like, not saying that season 9 was bad, but like the tier 2 guys were all so respectful, competitive. Yeah, and like you can see that our stewards inquiries, we have like none. Like everyone, just if there's an accident, we talk to each other, we talk it out. Like if someone actually benefited from something, it will go to the stewards, of course, but. It's a nice community.
I mentioned it in the race that it's going to be so hard for me to make a decision when season 11 comes, because when I see like the racing you guys have, I just want to go racing straight away, but it's so fun to commentate as well, so I really need to have a think and try to figure out what I want. But I think you guys are really inspiring when it comes to like how to race cleanly and everything, especially was midweek Coma and Dakusa that have a fair few incidents this race, I think. So both of them flashing their lights, moving away when it was amazing to see this kind of clean racing. Can't really get it anywhere else. So
yeah, this is it's great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Bring up Leaky, man. I guess he's the champion.
I
don't know. He can't talk. Can he talk?
No.
I don't
even see
dogs.
him,
I don't think.
so.
No,
I forget this every time. Who was in third again?
Lusty. No.
Yeah, it was Lusty.
Nui or Lusty? No, Lusty.
I think it was Lusty. I'm pretty sure it's Lusty. Pretty sure.
Yeah, but I think
Lusty.
Lusty doesn't have a mic. His mic is broken. So
Okay, fair enough.
Rip.
I would like to thank you guys for commentating for this season because you've both done an amazing job. So
Thank you. I just want to, I actually gave Fistopheles a little bit of a shout out in the beginning there because this would have been so wishy-washy if he didn't show up because I've been moving and I've been sick and everything. So that you covered for me was amazing. So keeping that commentary going.
Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can.
And considering how it was like your first time, I was blown away, man. Like the whole half first of season 9, I didn't know what I was doing at all, but it seems like you learned much faster than me, so.
Yeah, it's starting to get comfortable with it.
Yeah. Right then, so I think that's it actually. That's season 10.
Yeah, that was nice.
Season 10.
And time again, it shows that consistency always wins. So even though Marty he finished first once.
Only once.
Yeah, but always up there. Consistency is key all the time. So yeah. Oh, I'm so inspired now. I just want to race. So yeah, I think that's it. If you want, maybe I'll race against you though in tier 3.
Oh. We'd have to be a team. We'd be the AOR commentary team.
Yeah. Yep. You're controlling the stream, so you'll have to wrap it up.
All right. And then, sure, I guess we'll wrap it up with that. That was AOR Project Cars 2 GT3 Season 10 in Tier 2. I hope you'll eagerly await the coming of Season 11. It will be updated and announced on the official AOR homepage, which the bot usually links 1,000,000 times in chat, so you should be fine finding that. And until that happens, I wish you all for tonight, a great night, and until then, stay frosty.